Sir, we are thankful that you could join us today. I guess the first question, tell us about this symposium that the Bank of Canada is putting on with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand.
Well, Melissa, thank you for having me. Monetary policy, it's a broad macro tool. And there's one monetary policy for the whole country. We can't target specific communities or businesses or sectors. But it's really important that we understand how our policy decisions affect all Canadians. And that includes Indigenous communities, Indigenous businesses. And when you look at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report, and some of the recommendations relate to economic reconciliation, and that relates to our mandate. So this symposium, where we're working with a range of Indigenous groups, is really a first step to figuring out what does economic reconciliation mean for the work that the Bank of Canada does. And so we're launching a thoughtful, intentional process. It's going to take some time. We've had some wonderful partners. We're looking forward to working with even more Indigenous groups, and hopefully together we can chart this journey.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission report came out in 2015. It's now 2021. Why now, I guess? Why now is the Bank of Canada saying, we've got to do our part to reconcile? And what does reconciling mean, I guess, too? Is it, we're going to cut you a check because we're a bank? Does it mean, we're giving you your land back? I mean, because banks have, and this entire country have really profited off of colonization. So I guess, how do you make up for that?
Well, perhaps we should have started sooner, but we have been working with some Indigenous partners. We've already learned a lot, but in some respects, what we've learned is we have more to learn. In terms of the sort of things we're talking about here, we have a target for inflation at the Bank of Canada. Our job is to control inflation. We need to better understand how Indigenous communities experience inflation. We know that prices tend to be higher in remote communities. And so we're involved in a project to better measure the consumer price index for First Nations. Another issue is when we change interest rates, that affects access to credit across the country. How does that translate to the availability of credit for Indigenous businesses? We know there are certain barriers to credit for Indigenous businesses. We need to understand those better. We can do analysis. Hopefully that could help reduce those barriers, and monetary policy would transmit more evenly to the whole country, including Indigenous businesses. So that's a couple of examples of the sort of things we need to learn more about.
Well, we are thankful that you took the time to chat with us today about this, and we're thankful that the Bank of Canada, this is on your radar there, and we look forward to see where this takes us.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and I hope we have a chance to follow up on this conversation.
I do too.